Now we're streaming. And it kind of, oh God, I hope Twitch works. There was an alert on Restream that said that Twitch was having issues.
Uh-oh.
So, okay, we're connected. At least we're connected on the chat.
Great.
It's funny seeing this slight delay.
Okay, I'm on the Twitch page.
Let's see if it comes up.
There we are.
We're there?
Yep.
I'm just going to do a quick little chat. Gonna be talking about when the summer ends. Which is ironic because the summer has just begun. We got 6 people watching now. Hi, Paul Walker on YouTube. It's gonna wait a few more people to chime in, and then I'll start the video.
Cool.
How you doing, Lauren?
I'm pretty good. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
driving around New
good,
York.
as good as you can be.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
That's been my answer lately.
I've been alternating between as good as it can be or hanging in there. With a little one of these. Hanging in there.
Yeah.
All right, 13 people. I think they're ready for the music video.
Cool.
And
Let's do it.
We'll be back.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend when the summer ends? Do you think the tides know where they might go
I missed that part.
before they move? Are they scared too? Do you think the moon would fall into the sea if it pulled on the world as hard as your love's pulled on me? Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend when the summer ends? Nothing needs to hurt. I'll wait. I have learned how to love you when the summer ends. Will you love me when the summer ends?
Quick little fade out. And let me pull these back up here. There's Lauren. There's me.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. We're here for another session breakdown, Wednesday afternoon. That was the official music video for When the Summer Ends. Thanks for tuning in, coming back. Today, we're going to be talking about When the Summer Ends. See a bunch of you just tuning in now. Hello, 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 hello. YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We are live. Lauren, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm as hard as it was to take care of that blonde hair, I miss it.
The blonde era.
Yeah.
The full bloom era. I hadn't watched that video probably in like a year. I mean, you go to your YouTube and you see little clips and stuff like that, but I hadn't seen the full video until earlier this morning, and I was just like, man. I mean, it came out really great, and it was a lot. That was like a really fun shoot. Was it 2 days just straight? Went to
Yeah,
the
2
desert.
days driving around in that convertible.
This is not the behind the scenes for the music video, but there is one that Mango Street did.
Oh yeah.
They're an amazing duo, so generous to do that music video with us at an affordable rate, because they're just unbelievably professional, and the video turned out amazing. But today we're going to talk about the song and the session
Cool.
and all that fun stuff. For anyone that watched the Giants breakdown, we actually we started and wrote a lot of Giants and basically wrote When the Summer Ends in one day. It was one of those really just like very focused, very productive writing sessions where I think was that the first time you came upstate?
I think it was. And so it was also the first time, I mean, you and I had obviously been friends for a while, but it was the first time that we had like concentrated time together
Totally.
away.
Yeah.
And I think just it's great that it was so productive.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it was so crazy too because that song, Giants became the first single on. Oh well, hello everyone tuning in on Twitch. I think we got a little placement again, which is nice to see. If you're just tuning in on Twitch, we are Savoir, and we are doing a session breakdown of our song "When the Summer Ends," which was a single on our last record, Full Bloom. And if you can see below the video, we have all the links to our Spotify and all these records and stuff like that. So if you want to check it out afterwards, please do. But yeah, we were just talking about the writing process, and yeah, Lauren and I, we had been writing together a little bit in the city, but this was the first time we went upstate to actually my family's house. My dad has a studio there, and we were just very focused on writing, and it kind of ended up being our thing because after that we would take these, we actually would go on these trips out to LA to write with other people, but then also we would just like rent a house with a piano, and we ended up writing like half of, probably a majority of Full Bloom that way, I think.
Hmm.
Because I know we wrote
Yeah,
Bloom.
I think so.
Yeah, we wrote a lot of stuff out there. But yeah, it helps sometimes to just go somewhere and focus on just writing and recording as opposed to, all the distractions of life in the city, especially.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess before we dive into this huge session, I want to show you guys this demo. So yeah, we wrote this the first day, and this, for those of you that know the song or just heard it on the music video, that was the final product, obviously. But this is the demo we finished that very first day.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend if the summer ends? Nothing
Lyric
needs to
change.
hurt. I'll wait. I have learned how to love you then. When the summer ends, will you love me when the summer ends? Do you think the tides know where they might go before they've moved? Are they scared too? Do you think the moon would fall into the sea if it pulled on the world as hard as your love's pulled on me?
One chorus.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend if the summer ends? Nothing needs to hurt. I'll wait. I have learned how to love you then. When the summer ends, will you love me when the summer
There you have it.
ends?
Then there's a second verse. The whole second verse too, right?
Do you think the tides
No.
know
Yeah. No.
where
That's the first
they
verse.
might go?
Okay.
So we did go back and work on a second verse later. But other than that, hey, Claudio on YouTube says, I like this version, Savoir Door Unplugged. Well, you can hear, we did an acoustic version of that, right?
We did, yeah.
I think. We have an acoustic version of that on Spotify with a bunch of other tracks from Full Bloom. But yeah, that was different for me, especially because we basically wrote the whole song as like a song, and a song with a piano, guitar, melody, vocal that first day. And it was interesting because I think usually my approach is like I focus almost too much on the music and the production at first, and then I like chip away at writing the song.
Well, I
You know?
think if my memory serves me, we had done that for most of the day, maybe that day, and
Yeah.
then we literally like saw something in your dad's studio, some other album that had the title
Summer.
maybe. I know
Yeah.
we didn't discuss if we were going to discuss this, but we saw. I think it's a good tool because
Yes.
we saw something called When the Summer Ends, and we were like, what would a song sound like
Yeah.
that was about that? So it was just kind of like, I mean, I use books, I use things that I see all the time that it feel inspiring to me, and then try to figure out like what it would sound like. And that's a good tool for me to
Yeah.
find inspiration. So I feel
Yeah.
like we had done everything the usual way, and then we were just like, let's just like, what would just like a song sound like?
Yeah.
And immediately it just kind of fell out.
I feel like it almost right. It almost helps to like flip flop like that. So you're using different parts, kind of using different parts of your brain, or just like challenging yourself in a different way. Because I know for me, just having like just recording a demo with piano and vocals is really, it's hard. It's hard because I
Yeah.
have to force myself to do the kind of like hardest part, just making decisions about the song, as opposed to like I'm gonna loop this section and add 20 different hi hats and see what happens.
Right.
Which, don't worry, we'll get there. Which you've all been waiting for. Um, so yeah, the song at that point we had this demo, and it was different because this one, yeah, we wrote this the same day as Giants. I think it was the same week we wrote Savages, both songs that were on The Love That
Oh yeah.
Remains, which was the album before this one. And this demo just kind of, it just hung out. It hung out, and I think
Through many summers.
through many summers, 3 or 4, I think. And then even when it
Yeah.
was done, I mean, I'm gonna get into this a little bit, but as you can see here on this page, you can probably read all that. This is every iteration, every version of the song, and as you can see, September 2nd, 2014. It's crazy. So in
Wow.
2014, then 2 years later, we just didn't feel like it fit for The Love That Remains, or maybe I didn't. I don't know. I don't even remember what the process was in terms
I
of.
think I think we felt like it wasn't cool enough for a long time. Like for a long time it was like too singer-songwriter, like kind of saccharine, or like
Yeah,
we were just like, I don't know
yeah,
where this goes, so let's just let it chill.
yeah. And it chilled. And
Mhm.
then, yeah, I think, yeah, as we can see here, 2016 V1, that must have been, I just want to listen to this and see. Well, that's, yeah, I think for us, we didn't know where it fit because it was such a song. It had the singer-songwriter kind of ballad feel. And where does that fit in like an indie rock, sort of indie pop thing? So we reapproached it and started reworking the arrangement, making it a little bit more synth heavy, a little more synth pop. This was the next iteration.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend if the summer ends? Nothing needs to hurt. I'll wait. I have
Isn't that
learned
different?
how to love you then when the summer ends. Will you love me when the summer ends?
See, this is still very similar.
Do you think the tide?
Yeah, we started just overly affecting everything that was in there. But I think the breakthrough came right after that. And here we can just dive into the session now. This is the very final session because I actually didn't mix this song. Andrew Morey, who is an amazing mix engineer in New York, mixed this one and just took it to an even better level that we were so pumped on. But really, honestly, I feel like the breakthrough for us with this song was reapproaching the arrangement on its own. And I'm going to try and find this sound because I don't know if it's actually here. But basically, we just reapproached it and decided we need the main instrument not to be piano. We need it to be this synth sound,
Yeah.
which I don't know how loud it is. That's loud. Trying to find the original soft synth, but I think I don't have it here. The moon would fall. So basically, just rethinking that chord progression in a more synth-heavy way. And again, I'll talk about it every week. The Juno, whether or not it's in that form. This was, I believe, a soft synth. Let me see if I can find. I know exactly the sound. It's basically, we use it on Giants. For anyone out there looking for a great, affordable soft synth, the Tal Uno Lux, that's your ticket. It sounds like
Yeah,
this.
that we use that on like everything.
We use this so much, and I think it's just smooth piano. Yep. Something along those lines. I'm playing right now, I promise. But yeah, this synth right here, and these are just our go-to. Let's see what we got here. Probably some Giants pad, Lover's Wake pad. You can see it's from all of our songs. Crowded Streets. This is an amazing synth, and I think, yeah, Lauren, you were playing with that And that made a huge difference because all of a sudden the verse was cool.
Yeah, I think it was just trying to like modernize a little bit, and that's what's so fun about pop music is a song is a song is a song is a song, and you know, if you have that, you can go anywhere, which is cool.
Yeah. And this one, I think let's talk a little bit about the sort of progression of the song, and that way, and then I'll dive more into like all these different specifics. But we actually, we reapproached it, and I believe we made this whole new production. And then even after all of this, we kept feeling like we needed to make it, like as you can see here, more dancey, more dancey. And then eventually, we actually made a new, simpler acoustic version. And this was a really interesting time for, I think, the band in general, because we had this time, we had a little bit more expectation. Love That Remains did really well, so we wanted to we really wanted this song to be like a hit, and there's never been a
Well,
song that's gone back and forth more with the record label and stuff.
right, I think other people wanted it to be a hit too, or people
Yes.
heard that it could have been a hit, and so that
Yeah.
ultimately ended up affecting our approach, whether we wanted it to or not.
Yeah.
And that was just a different adventure.
Yeah, it was totally new. And even, the fact that we ended up doing this acoustic version, which I'll just pull up really quick. I think it was, so this had a little bit of our production, but then,
Do you think
wow.
the tides know where they might
So we
go?
basically did a very simple acoustic version and sent it through our record label, like sent it out to other producers and remixers to rework the song because we wanted to make it more like energetic. It was a really weird experience because we had never done that before. I had certainly never done that with earlier Savoir stuff either. So it was it was strange, and we actually ended up getting a really great rework, a kind of remix of the song, but it was just so different, and we went back and forth on tweaks, and I would even play that, but I feel like it would be weird because the remixer, we never actually released it, so I wouldn't feel very comfortable playing it here.
Yeah.
But
I think ultimately we listened to it and we just were kind of like, this is good, but it's not ours anymore. And I don't necessarily think it's better than what we did. So
yeah,
what do we really want? Like, what do we want to play every show? What do we
yeah,
want to have to hear a million times over and over
yeah,
again as we're like going through all of this stuff?
yeah,
And I think eventually it was really hard though, because we had people in our ears being like, this person releasing it is going to get you more plays,
yeah.
and that's going to be something, whatever. It's hard to not let that be the thing that guides you, but that ultimately just, we decided against it.
Yeah. It was a very interesting experience, and I definitely had never been in that sort of spiral of thinking about, you know, basically thinking about the release of a song before it was even done and all the different ways it would react. And this was the beginning, I think, of the Spotify playlisting surge, where all anyone thinks about is like, well, would it fit on this playlist or that playlist? And it's hard because it does matter, kind of, but it shouldn't really matter in terms of what you're creating. And it can be, I mean, you'll see between this acoustic version, that was June 15th, 2017. It would still be another year. We had a whole new remix, and then we decided we couldn't decide on it. We decided in September, and then we were like, well, summer's over.
Yeah.
And I just remember
So,
I remember us talking about it and to our manager, and we're like, I guess we'll wait till next summer. And so we just lost a year because we couldn't make that decision. But um, Claudio asked, after Dreamer's success, are you kind of obsessed with getting a hit song? Well, that's the thing. Not really, because, Dreamer's success was so not, I don't want to say unexpected, but it wasn't it just happened. And so we kind of realized too after that. And I think you realize after releasing a ton of music that you just can't, the more you worry about that stuff, the more you often just it doesn't, the music doesn't turn out as good and you'd stop enjoying it. So,
yeah,
I mean, there's
it's
obviously,
totally out of
yeah,
your control.
it's totally out of your control. He asked, about pressure too. And there definitely is pressure to make something good. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of the pressure is then put on later when everything is done. And then all of a sudden you have to market it and you think about how many people are seeing this or seeing that. And That's weird, but I think the writing process not as much, I think especially in our world, which is more like indie focused anyway, and like, I'm sure there are sessions where it's literally just the focus is like what will connect the biggest way, and it's a whole other kind of craft. But yeah, it's hard. I think at the end of the day, we're just gonna make music that we really enjoy, and then I think that'll connect. And we obviously hope for songs to keep reaching as many people as like Dreamers did. But even that, so much of Dreamers' success was just a strange combination of factors, like a video game placement. You can't predict these
Yeah,
things, so
right. It's a lightning bolt.
it truly is. Um, so yeah, after the acoustic version, after the remix, we reapproached and a big. Well, I guess I'll just dive into the session now and start talking about the actual instrumentation and stuff because you guys don't want to just look at this folder the whole time.
Sure.
um, but yeah, I mean, basically I think especially after we had that acoustic version, after we had that remix done, we realized like, okay, now's our chance. We just want to make this as awesome as possible because we're going to be playing this version every night. This is going to be our lead single for a new record. So there's a little bit of pressure there. And I think that's why we fine-tuned it so much. And so really a huge part of this, was finding a way to modernize this song and to make it kind of fit into like a synth pop realm. And I know for me, at least, a big turning point was getting real drums on it. Because until, I'm going to mute the real drums and I'll show you guys this chorus. And it's really not that different from our original demo chorus. It has the ostinato high guitar thing. The main piano part, I mean, at least this is organized. Where are you, piano? But yeah, basically this guitar part, which again, it's a Savoir signature move. Something playing the same notes for the entire time. But underneath it is this. Which is a very what's that song? John Hyatt? Little
Yeah.
Faith in Me?
Yeah.
Whoops.
Have a little faith.
In me. Similar thing. It's basically, I need to get a little camera to show my hands, but it's basically just, C, G, C in the right hand, pumping, and then the bass notes underneath that. And this is, again, something I talked about. This is, let's see actually if this instrument's here. No, it's not. These are, as you can see here on the left, guys, this is every track that was a part of this song. It was a beast. A lot of the reason for that was just trial and error, but it's really big, which is why it took me a little bit of time this morning to organize all this. But we use the same, it's called a felt piano from Spitfire Labs, and it's just such a mood. Basically what they did is they took a piano with felt behind the hammers, so it's really soft sounding, and then they sampled it being played really quietly. It's really cool. So it kind of creates this incredibly intimate. Use that on a lot of our piano and bass songs. But then to have it kind of cut through a little bit more, we also recorded this. This is actually a real piano from, what's it called? This is when I went, there's a studio called, God, I don't remember anything. It'll come back to me. Studio in Gowanus. I went and recorded just this on piano. But it was nice. So that way it kind of was a little bit more of a pop thing in there. Whoops, too much there. But the piano. So this was really, honestly, the basis, and I could just. And that's just Lauren in there. And we did end up tweaking some of the words. I always think tweaking like one word or two words is like the hardest thing because we're just like, you have a demo, you have it done, and then you're like, well, what if is actually and? And then it becomes like a 2-hour discussion. I think we agreed on it though, so it wasn't like a argument or anything, but it was definitely a journey.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still be?
So I feel like that was step one because we got the sort of aesthetic of the chorus, that pump and piano, this sort of filtered vocal effect, which I think sounds so good on your vocal, Lauren.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend when the summer ends? Nothing needs to hurt. I'll wait. I have learned how to love you when the summer ends. Will you laugh?
It's just such a cool mood. And this is the chain for that. I think I can open it. Don't freeze. Yeah. Basically just EQ, real tape saturation, slammed and lo-fi. And then honestly, this Ubermod, another just unbelievable plugin. We throw this on a lot of our vocals. It just gives you that sort of, like a modulation vintage warble. And especially in combination with the filter, it just makes it sound like a cassette. Then Decapitator. Most engineers, I think, at this point would probably use this a lot as well. And then a C4, just slammed. And basically, that combination creates this really cool, I'm going to hide this so that, or make it inactive, this vocal effect.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend?
Which I think really, again, it was, this whole entire production, I feel like, was a step-by-step process in making the song cooler,
Yeah.
Which,
For lack of a better word.
for lack of a better word, yeah.
I think it was more just like less syrupy or like less dramatic or something. I don't know. I had sung it in such a I don't have the words for it, but it was just like too serious.
Yeah. Well, it's all, and also like making it artistically, aesthetically pleasing for us, And I think I'm trying to remember some of that Juno stuff it was either like Blood Orange or Empress of or something that inspired that at the time. Cause there's so much resurgence in especially like indie pop ballads of like really synth heavy, like main instrumentation. It's like you listen to a Blood Orange record and it's like all Juno, or the Bleachers records, it's basically all of that.
I think something else I was listening to at the time was what's the band called? The Cut in Two, Cut All the Way Through.
Yeah, Pure Bathing Culture.
Yeah, Pure Bathing Culture was doing some really cool
That
stuff
totally
too,
makes
and
sense.
I feel like that informed some creative choices.
I think I feel like there was a lineage there because I remember listening to a lot of Cocteau Twins, which did the same filter effect on the vocals, and then Pure Bathing Culture did the same thing, where it's like filtered and sort of modulated. Yeah, if you guys don't know, is he giving critique? As someone asked, for anyone tuning in on Twitch, we are doing a session breakdown of our song "When the Summer Ends," where we actually talk about the story behind the song and break down massive Pro Tools sessions like this. So welcome. Someone asked if I'm giving a critique. I am sort of giving a critique, as is Lauren, of ourselves. Yeah. But yeah, that was the process. And as soon as we had that, and it ended up being many, many layers of those vocals, obviously, because that filter effect is just one thing. If you have just that filter, it probably the vocal would have been too hidden. But yeah, I think it was this step-by-step process of making it aesthetically pleasing artistically for us, where it started as almost this like sheet music, it was just a piano, a very direct vocal, and then bit by bit it was, we got this chorus. I'll sort of build it up this way.
Can we still pretend?
Piano,
When the summer ends,
guitar,
nothing needs to
and then also I think I can see, ended up getting, never mind, I don't know where it is, this pedal. This was a time when I was using this on everything. And so we put the Juno through this, and the result is this thing right here, Juno VHS strings. Let me just play that for you guys. That was a big vibe. Big vibe 2018. Which, it's really cool. It's pretty much just, it's a standard Juno pad, but it's slammed through this lo-fi junky ZVEX pedal, which essentially makes everything sound like a super damaged VHS cassette, which is fun. So we basically added that. I just want to keep building and showing you guys how we did that chorus. So we padded it up, then we added this Juno pluck, which again, Molosifer on YouTube says, the voice leading on piano with the vocals works so well. Thank you. That was a thing we did. So we added those plucks. I'm just going to actually build it up again really quick. So yeah, this was the harmonics. And then we said, let's accent those hits with the marimba. me get those vocals in there so you can hear the full vocals, which is mostly Lauren.
Understand? Can we still pretend when the summer ends? Nothing needs to hurt. Oh wait, I have learned how to love you when the summer ends. Will you love me when the summer ends?
So, I remember at that point, because we did a lot of those vocal effects, I think we did them pretty early on because we wanted to sort of get excited about, the chorus sounding cool. And then, I don't remember the back and forth on this, and again, actually, let me show you really quick. I love how those chorus vocals ended up. So it's basically a Lauren filter,
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand?
me filter.
Can we still pretend when the summer
This is a brighter
ends?
version of you.
Nothing needs to hurt. Oh wait, I have learned how to love you when.
And then 2 lead vocals, which we sort of used. This is like the clean thing to push through.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend when the summer ends? Nothing needs to hurt. Oh wait, I have learned how to love you when the summer.
That's like the clean pop thing to just
Yeah, and
connect
I
on
mean,
top.
I can hear such a difference in how I sung that versus how I sung it originally, and it's just like lighter, which feels like a relief to me instead
Yeah.
of the heavy like drama.
Yeah, there was like a touch of like musical theater ballad to the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not that there's anything wrong with musical theater.
No, we both love
Different
it.
thing. I love
So,
musical theater. So that was the stack of the vocal, and as you can see here, we did a lot of layering, and eventually, did the guys get on here too? Yeah, we have a big final group. Got all Andrew and Alex from the band to sing on it too.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend when the summer ends? Nothing needs to.
Gotta have the group vocal.
Oh wait, I have learned how to love you when the summer ends.
Wow, forgot that was in there. Just for the
did we
last
do
chorus.
that upstate? Did we do that when we were all?
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
that. I was renting a house up by Hudson, upstate New York, to do some writing. And yeah, we had like a sleepover party weekend writing session. And I remember us all shouting that. And then we made like one last edit, which was, I wish I knew the number of days spent on this song, because it's probably around 50 days of actually opening the session, working on it. It's crazy, but every little bit, I love how it turned out. So I'm happy that we took the time, but it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, we can go back into more of the vocals later, but a huge part, I think, of trying to figure out, Melostopher says, Lauren's dry vocals, the delicate ones, remind me of Amy from Stars.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I really like the way that we ended up layering that. But yeah, so again, the challenge with this song was like, okay, how do we turn this ballad, which is it's a pretty like straightforward, sweet pop song, and how do we kind of get it to fit into our aesthetic? And it was a step-by-step process, and I think the rhythm section for me did a lot, because we just didn't know what the answer was. And so I'm just going to play the instrumental and the verse really quick so that you guys can hear all of that. Let's see, where are your vocals? There we go. Luckily, this session is organized. I'm going to mute all of this. And yeah, actually, in case you can't tell, the intro of the song was just a print of that chorus because we liked it so much, which was just this.
Will you hold my hand?
Again,
Will you understand?
felt piano vocal.
Can we still pretend when the summer ends?
Whoa, someone just said, remember seeing you at the grog shop with Jukebox the Ghost a decade ago. Funny seeing you pop up on Twitch. That's insane. Did we ever play the grog shop? Do you know that place in Cleveland too? We played there, actually.
Oh,
I did it.
yeah, we did play there, but not 10 years. I
Yeah.
wasn't there 10 years ago.
That's a blast. That's crazy. So in the verses, we decided to kind of have this like chill synth pop drum thing going on against that Juno. And we ended up layering a felt piano there as well. So we have the Juno here with the piano, which kind of gives you this cool almost like a Bruce Hornsby 80s electric piano.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a really cool quality. So the challenge there was like, okay, so how do you fill in that space, obviously? So we ended up getting some cool like echo and clean samples in there, and I'll just show you guys where that ended up. Electronic drums. And you know what? I'm not ashamed to admit it. We ended up using the bamboo snare, which for those of you that use Splice, it was one of the most popular Splice samples of all time. And we just like wanted something different for that backbeat. So here, you can hear it. Some super clean toms. And then a drum filter comes in halfway through, but I'll just let it go. Train is going by. So once we've kind of figured out,
That sounds like a totally different song.
it's crazy,
Just the
right?
drums.
Because you don't
Yeah.
realize where the downbeats are and stuff. But then we had just bought this MS-20, which actually I'm gonna show you guys really quick. Here it comes. Here it comes. It's broken, so it's open right now. But this was another cool breakthrough of the song. So this synth, which they reissued a few years ago, ended up becoming kind of the backbone of the bass part. So I'll just show you guys that, which is this. There you go. So basically, this became the palette for the verse. So now you can play it all together. So yeah, all in all, we ended up having that sort of sparse drum instrumentation, the Juno, this MS-20 bass. So let me just bring it back to a normal level because it's so loud. You know. And then I'll show you guys the vocals, which, you know, is the original lead vocal line. I mean, re-recorded. Hang on. There is a train coming by and it's very loud, so sorry if I'm screaming. Comes by every hour outside of my window. I'll show you guys. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it. There it is.
That's a freight train. Passes by my window every hour. This Twitch chat just went crazy. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, there's a lot of people on Twitch. We're the band Savoir. We are breaking down our song When the Summer Ends, our Pro Tool session. So this is how the verse ended up.
Do you think the tides know where they might go before they move? Are they scared too? Do you think the moon would fall into the sea if it pulled on the world as hard as your love's pulled on me?
And then the big challenge was, what do we do with the chorus? Because up until then, we just had that sort of straight boom, boom, boom feel. And I think, Lauren, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I originally came with like a very like electronic version which was, yeah, actually, it was just that. I'm going to mute our vocals again so we can just talk about the instrumental. And I don't even think it had the bass in there. It was this. Loafing around on Twitch asks, who writes most of your lyrics? She does.
I mean, I think that it's a pretty 50-50 effort most of the time.
Aw, she's being humble. I feel like we talk about concepts
Apparently
a lot,
your
but-
mom does, so.
Oh, I missed that one. My mom? Is that a diss? Is
I
that
don't
like
know.
your mom? I don't know. Is that
Yeah.
even a thing anymore? That shows my age. Got some Haim vibes. Thank you. We love Haim. Go listen to their new record.
Yeah.
Euless, I
and
haven't listened to the whole
it's really
thing
good.
yet. So basically, we had this very straightforward electronic feel, which would have, I mean, it was cool. It was definitely pop. It was definitely modern. But I think that was my issue. And it wasn't until around that time, probably in 2017 or so, where I was like, okay, I'm going to go record drums with my friend in Montreal. Because
Oh, yeah.
wanted to have him record a bunch of stuff anyway. And he's if anyone's watched our DJ sets, he's in the band La Couleur, which I play like almost every week. He's the main, like he's a drummer and producer, Steven Chouinard. His drumming is just so impeccably like, so groovy and so like the French touch, sort of like cool mid like 2000s thing, you know, like bands like Air, Daft Punk, like that kind of vibe. But we just ended up recording drums on this, and it completely added a new layer of a bounce to it. And so this is the drum tracking. I wish I could have had all the EQs and stuff I had in there, but I think I printed it. Oh, I guess it is up here. Let me see if I can open this. I mean, this is probably like, you know, nobody cares, but let me just see if it'll. Oh, there actually isn't even anything there. Never mind. Well, so these are the drums up here from that session. We had a few questions I want to answer really quick. When playing live, do you save all settings with MIDI and play instruments or backing track? Combination. And that's something that I think most bands like us in our sort of style, like synth pop, indie pop, it's a challenge because you don't want to just sing over backing tracks because it shows, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, you know, with us, usually when we finish a song, we'll go through and we'll kind of figure out like, okay, what elements really add to the song that we can't necessarily reproduce. A lot of times it's like arpeggiators, or just tiny little percussion, like electronic percussion stuff. So we'll print like basics of that. I think for this song, it was mostly, we tried to recreate most of it live, but then I think we just added like the marimba thing and maybe some of the small percussion. But yeah, and then I know because Lauren plays a Juno on stage, so in terms of those sounds, it wasn't really that difficult to recreate. So I think best thing you can do is just try and recreate with the instruments you have on stage. Whoa. See, someone said, thought of Walking in Memphis. That also's got it. Walking in Memphis has the same chord progression. It's definitely like, you know.
It's a mood.
It's a
Yeah.
mood. It's a mood. It's a motif that's been used a bunch in pop music. It's Pro Tools similar to Ableton. Yeah, it is, but it's similar in that it's a DAW, digital audio workstation. But Ableton is very different workflow. Did you mess with Ableton, Lauren? Do you ever?
You know, I didn't. I have it. I have probably like every DAW
Yeah.
and have kind of like messed around with all of them, but actually Ableton I haven't messed around with.
It's of all of them, I think it's probably the most different, but it's really good for live. And someone asked about live. Like, we'll actually take stems from these sessions, anything we want to work through, and that's actually what our like brain is live. And I think 90% of bands who use any sort of, you know, track elements, they use Ableton at this point because it's rock
Yeah.
solid. It's like your computer or your interface might fall apart or freeze. Ableton has never frozen, like just ever. It just doesn't. It's so solid.
Knock on all of
Knock
the
on
wood for
wood.
every
Knock
future
on wood.
possible, maybe live show we might play
Ever.
sometime in the future,
Yeah,
far,
we'll
far
never
away.
have a crash. But yeah, Pro Tools is still what we use mostly for arranging these things. So yeah, Steven, I tried to find some videos from this session in Montreal. He ended up recording drums on a few tracks, like Everything's a Season. We layered some of his drums for Bloom. But this was the one that was most featured. And this made a big difference because it's just such a good feel, especially with those little drum fills. And then the last step was this bass line. So I love that. that at least for me changed the chorus because it created this kind of almost an indie disco bounce, and it was around this time too we bumped up the tempo to 108, made that became the core rhythm section, and from there, that informed the chorus, and I think we were kind of flying from there. This is another little fun thing we added towards the end. If you're struggling to kind of find a pad, I think often just vocals, record a few layers of vocals, tune them so they're really solid, but then cut everything out really below like 700 or 800 hertz, and it becomes this beautiful vocal pad. So this is sort of layered in there, side chained against the kicks and stuff. And it just fills in this sort of space that otherwise wouldn't have been, filled up. And that's it. And that became the chorus, so you can hear it here. Ooh, yeah, I forgot about what's that little vocal hook?
Yeah, what is that actually?
Oh, you know what?
Oh, is that my voice?
So Lauren, I wish I could find this. I will probably never find this because I printed it instantly. You did a little like, can you recreate it right now? Oh, you do a little crack in your voice. Yeah, that's it.
Something like that.
Yeah. So here, that was just a crack Lauren, I think, did. You probably did it in one of the vocal takes. Then we were like, that's a little hook. Pretty sure that's just compressed to death, distorted, reverb, obviously. So that kind of became the hook halfway through the chorus. Vocalism in there. There's two of them here. Let's see what that one was. Because I feel like once we had all this down, then it was just like this. Someone asked, "Who's the singer?" That's the singer.
Me. I'm the singer. My name's Lauren. I'm in the band.
Oh, that's another vocalism. Did lots of fun stuff on this. So we were just adding a lot of sparkles at this point, and also chorus development, which I think we really thought about in this, which is cool. Every single chorus has a slightly different vocal. I mean, you can see it sort of the way it builds here. So, I think at this time we were talking a lot about the band Sylvan Esso and the way they approach. If you kind of deconstruct their songs, their arrangements are very different from chorus to chorus or verse to verse. And it's really interesting because it makes the whole thing it feels constantly new and engaging, And I remember this is definitely a little bit more, in terms of the song structure, a little bit more straightforward. But we were pretty into like every chorus feeling bigger or different in terms of the layers.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend?
Yeah, you have more full voice.
When the summer ends, nothing needs to hurt. I wait, I have learned how to love the summer ends? Will you love me when the summer ends?
And yes, we are on Spotify. There was a couple people asking. It should be, if you're on Twitch, which a lot of you are watching from, just directly below the video in our About section, there should be a link to all of our music. So you can check out this song, which I'm pretty sure is in our top 5, and all of our albums, which we have a lot of now. So we just we built every single chorus kind of from there in terms of vocal thing. And then finally by the end, I mean, maybe we went a little too big, but I added my harmony.
Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend when the summer ends? Nothing needs to hurt.
Probably could have edited that a little better. You guys want to find some bad editing? Let's do it.
Summer ends, nothing needs to hurt. Oh wait, I have learned how to love you when.
That's always a fun thing when you realize you released a song with like just like chewing or something in the back.
Oh wait, I have learned how to love you when.
Okay, nothing egregious there, but that is the last harmony. And then the last thing we have a distant group.
Will you hold my hand?
Me shouting.
Will you understand? Can we still pretend?
But when you're layering like this, you just got to really be careful not to overdo it. And also be sure to process the vocals slightly different, because I've definitely fallen into this where if I auto-tune 20 vocals the same way, process them the same way, all of a sudden you end up with a group that actually sounds smaller than one vocal. And that's not what you want. And I think what helped with this, I'll just play the last chorus and you'll feel it feels really big because I think there's different treatment. And throughout the whole thing, there's always Lauren's vocal. This one. This is like the anchor.
Ends. Will you hold my hand? Will you understand? Can we still pretend?
And just again a note, this is not the final mix. So the final mix, there's more space carved out for the vocals. This one we did not do the final mix, but it's probably like 85% there with this production. But let's just play that final chorus and you guys can hear that. Gosh, I'm trying to think if there's anything else production-wise. This one, like we said earlier, it's just building, building, building. And with most things, there's maybe too much. Oh yeah, we did some nice acoustic guitars here for the second chorus, which against the bass. So that kind of added a little more energy with the 16th notes. You know what else I should talk about real quick? There was some fun electronic percussion stuff that was added in the chorus as well. And I think that layering is really nice. Claps, sampled hats. I'm a big fan of this kind of approach. So once we had that like a basic rhythm section, making it feel a little bit even more modern or larger than life with a bit of percussion. So it's like this kind of stuff. So there's I think that ended up getting lowered a bunch more in the final mix. But if you can hear it interact with the drums in a really nice way, because it just kind of creates this perpetual motion kind of vibe. Someone asked, do you use virtual instruments or is it all authentic recordings? It is a combination of both for the most part. If you can see behind me, that's a Roland Juno that we use a lot. So we use that as like a main synth a lot. We use this Prophet 08, which you can see poorly, but we use that Prophet 08 a lot for basics. For the most part, it's always a combination. I think that creates a really interesting dynamic. I think one or the other. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing anything, obviously, but I think there's something really fun from combining all those real analog instruments with virtual instruments as well. And I'm sure this session is full because we didn't have the Juno at the time, so we actually wrote. I pulled this up earlier, but I don't know if. Might as well pull this up. We had a couple questions about virtual instruments and also favorite effects. And so I'll show you guys really quick. This, again, this Juno emulator called Tal Unolux is just incredible, and it's basically the same. It's the same interface as a vintage Juno 60. It's slightly different than a 106, but as you can see here, it's really easy to sculpt a sound because you start with just a simple saw wave, and then you can just filter it, chorus it, add your envelope, and all of a sudden you have a beautiful Juno sound. So highly recommend that. Also highly recommend, I think earlier I talked about this plugin a little bit, but the Uber mod. Again, these are all these great like $40, $50 plugins. Over time, just collect little ones. This does such a amazing thing. So if you can hear, I think maybe I'll put it on like, where can I show you something that it'll actually do? Well, you know what? I'll show you on Lauren's vocal, because the clean vocal, it's really pure.
Hold my hand, will you understand?
So if you wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a warble, open up your Uber mod. It makes it stereo.
Hold my hand, will you understand?
But it gives it a chorus
Can we
sheen.
still pretend when the summer?
Chorusing meaning, the slight modulation between channels there.
Hold my hand,
And you can go crazy with it.
hold my hand, will you understand? Can we still pretend?
But what's cool
when
is
the
you can go crazy and then pull it back.
ends? Nothing needs to work. I'll wait.
And it creates this sort of warping modulation. And, you wouldn't normally necessarily put a ton of that in a vocal, but you could put that on a piano track, for example. Like here, I'll just pull it up to this. There's a piano track right here, stereo print. No, cannot be activated. So check it out. Beautiful piano. Let's mess it up. Little mod. See, now it has that chorused modulated sheen to it. But anyway, I digress. But those are, honestly, if you went through any of our sessions, you'd probably find 10 plugins. And here you can even see the Uber mod is being used on this effects channel, which I think we ran most of the vocals through. The decapitator is so useful, especially the fact that you can just mix in different amounts of distortion. I use a lot of different saturation plugins, Real Tape, one of them. Another one is a Good Hertz. This is a really cool plugin called the Wow Control. And it basically is just like a super... it's funny reading comments as I'm talking about things. But anyway, this is like a super customizable cassette player in essence. So you can do the exact same thing you do with that modulator, but in a different way. You can saturate the tone. Over here, you can make it super lo-fi, add a little bit of noise. You can really damage sounds that way. But like adding that stuff, I think, helps a lot with virtual instruments because sometimes they just sound too pure. So if you add a little bit of those elements tastefully, you can make a track, it just adds color to the track. It adds a little bit more dynamic. But yeah, those are those questions, right? VST, find it hard next time. Yeah, it is hard. It's hard. I think someone just asked about getting distracted by all that stuff. I mean, I think that was partially why we ended up writing this song the way we did, because
We were continuously distracted by options of how to handle things. I mean, yeah, you can say that about everything.
yeah. And distractions, I mean, I could talk about distractions for hours, but distractions when you're a writer or producer or musician of any kind is really hard because it's kind of, you have to figure out a way to manage those distractions or else you won't focus on like one simple thing. Oh, wow. Lauren, did I just lose you? Because I lost Lauren and it's just a freeze frame of me smiling now underneath me. And it's pretty creepy. How do I get that off? Let's do a little FaceTime. I'm talking to myself. The name of the tape saturator is Real Tape Saturation. So I use this for saturation. I use the Wow Control for saturation. And then there's also a couple Reactor plugins I really like. If you use Reactor, check out VHS and also check out, there's another one called, I'll have to open it later. I can answer in the chat when we're done. Let me call Lauren back up. Ooh. Oh, she has to go anyway. I shouldn't have opened that. That's everyone. So anyway, so everyone say bye to Lauren. I'm gonna close this this freeze frame of just me because it's ridiculous. How do I do that? I'm in OBS. I'm sure a lot of you know OBS, but I'm still relatively new at doing this. So, Lauren, FaceTime. There we go. Bye. Okay. It's just me now, guys. So hey, I'm gonna wrap it up soon because I feel like we've talked about most of the song. But any other questions, please let me know. I'm actually gonna hang in the chat box for a little bit as well, and I'll probably play the music video. But that's pretty much the tune. Love that chest hair. Oh my goodness. That's pretty much the tune, guys. And like I said, this is a really good example of how, we prep the session to then send off to mixing to Andrew Morey, who amazing mix engineer. He did a bunch of stuff for, early stuff for Rah Rah Riot. Went on to do even huge stuff like Shawn Mendes. So luckily I'd known him for years and he was willing to mix this at a decent enough rate. Cause it's hard to get mix engineers. It's a very specific and very special skill set. And if you're a good mix engineer, you get work. So that's pretty much it, guys. Please, any other questions? Please let me know in the chat box. We do these every Wednesday, session breakdowns. We have a lot of albums. So if you, someone just asked, how much does it run you to get this mixed after you get it to this point? Gosh, it can be anything. I mean, we've mixed songs, and we're lucky in that we were able to get friend rates from some people here and there, but mixing a song can be anywhere from $500 to $5,000 depending on the mixing engineer, and even more than that. I mean, there are major label mixing engineers that charge $7,000-8,000 a track, which is it's so much money when you think about it, because sometimes we worked, that was like our whole record budget for our first album, so it's some people really get that much money. And good for them, I mean, in that world, those songs will go on to make millions of dollars. So the mixing engineer is a huge part of that. But obviously, it's hard for an indie band to pay anything close to that. But yeah, this is basically, you can see a prepped session in this way. And the way I always do it is and most mixing engineers want kick. I mean, you got your drum kit, kick, snare, then you have your bass section, then you have your synths, guitars, piano, guitars, that kind of stuff, and then all the vocals at the bottom. And this way it's sort of all set up. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in again. And for those of you that just stumbled across and didn't know what was going on, this is what we do. Wednesdays at 1:00, session breakdowns. We're going to do them every Wednesday. I think Lauren and I are also talking about doing a couple live writing sessions, which will be interesting, and just sort of you guys tuning into that. But again, any specific songs you want us to break down, let us know in the comments section. Give us a follow if you enjoyed watching this. And Saturday night, we'll be back for a DJ set. We do a dance party Saturday nights, all like indie dance, melodic house, stuff like that. And then Sunday mornings, we do actually do like a chill, down-tempo set. Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. So yeah, you can see all that schedule and stuff. Give us a follow. I'm going to put on the music video one more time so you guys can hear the final version of the song. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me, babble about plugins and song production. And Lauren had to go, but I'm sure she would say bye to everyone and she'll be back next week. And yeah, we miss you guys. Hopefully we'll get to play for you very soon. This is by far the longest we've ever gone without playing a show. So that's why, part of the reason why we're at home doing this kind of new stuff. So yeah, thanks again. Going to put on this video. I'll be in the chat booth, so I'll be answering some of your questions. And we'll see you soon. Oops, got to turn up the audio. This is the official music video.
Will you understand? Can we still pretend when the summer ends? Do you think the tides know where they might go?
that is the official music video for When the Summer Ends. And that concludes our session breakdown of that tune. I'm actually going to hang. I'm going to hang in the chat for a little longer on Twitch because I want to answer some more questions. But I'll close this just so that the video is complete for the post and stuff like that. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been really, really fun doing these. We'll be back next Wednesday. Give us a follow. Check out our music on Spotify. Give us a follow there too. It helps us a lot, to be honest, in terms of getting our music out to more people.